If God is free from karma, why aren't we? Karma is the fruits, the good or evil effects of action. If you swallow poison, your action produces the evil fruit of death. If you eat wholesome food, your action yields the good fruit of better health. Today I am speaking primarily of evil karma, that which brings pain and suffering. If we are made in God's image, as the scriptures tell us, and God is free from karmic suffering, why aren't we also free? Evil karma is the result of misuse of our God-given power of free choice. Animals are free from individual karma. They can do no evil because they have no power of discrimination. Their lives are governed by instinct and by mass karma, the effects of their environment. Although sexually indiscriminate, they are not punished for it, since their behavior is not self-determined but instinct-bound. So animals don't suffer from the effects of their actions as human beings do. Man has the gift of reason by which to choose all his actions and is thus accountable for them. Then the question is, why is God eternally free from the fruits of actions, and we are not? Let us go deep into the subject, and you will understand it as never before. God is spoken of as eternal existence, eternal consciousness, eternal bliss. As such, he has never suffered. Why then did he conceive suffering for us? Isn't that strange? I know the answer. But still I argue with him. Lord, if you wanted to create this little play world, why did you have to make suffering a part of it? What is play to you is death to us. Why didn't you create this earth with beautiful flowers and no weeds, with life and no death or pain or other sufferings of karma, and no mass karma to plunge us into the terrors of war? Why, Lord, didn't you create a world without delusion? What can he say, except that we are free, only we don't know it? The fact that God did create delusion should not make us pessimistic. I am the greatest optimist. Optimism doesn't mean being happy so long as everything goes well, but when pain comes, turning gloomy and saying, God, you are terrible. God had nothing to do with our present state of misery. When he created us, he gave us freedom to suffer or to rise above it. Optimism means being able to laugh at both pleasure and pain, to mentally get away from the hurtful effects of duality. Pain has three causes. Pain is the greatest curse of the soul. For those who are suffering, it is dreadful. Even if you are all right now, how do you know that you won't someday be a victim? So long as there is any possibility of suffering, you must try to remove its causes by the roots. There are three factors behind man's sufferings. First comes delusion. Second, the effects of man's own wrong actions. And third, the effects of mass karma, such as the destruction of both good and evil individuals when Hiroshima was bombed. Delusion causes identification with the flesh. From the beginning of life, the child thinks of his body as himself, that he and the body are one. This is why he cries if you pinch him, and why he likes it when you soothe his hand. The delusion of identification with the body came with the creation of man, and that identification increases by pampering the body. In India, our training is different than here in the West. We are taught to conquer the flesh, to mentally rise above body consciousness. If you love the body too much, you become unduly sensitive. You suffer whenever the body is uncomfortable. You have been taught to suffer because you have been taught to depend too much on physical comfort for happiness. The desire for all sorts of comforts is a major source of pain. This is why the saints say we should not be attached to anything. If plain food is served, don't miss your favorite savory dishes. Never be so attached to anything that you become dissatisfied or unhappy or pained over the absence of it. Human beings suffer because they relate to an ego, the consciousness of self as a physical being. Animals suffer much less than man because they are not egoistically identified with the body. They cannot relate to an ego as humans do. We also relate to others according to the degree of our identification with them. Seeing a stranger with a broken leg, you say, "How unfortunate." You feel sympathy for him, but you are detached from the pain of his injury. If you had broken your own leg, you would be suffering with the pain. In the same way, a mother who sees her neighbor's child killed doesn't feel as sorrowful as she would if it were her own child. In each case, identification is the cause of suffering. You identify yourself more closely with your own body than with someone else's, and you relate more readily to those persons or things that are nearest and dearest to you than to those that are not personally close to you. The connection between you and bodily pain is only mental. The fact is, if you learn to live in your body without thinking of it as yourself, you won't suffer so much. The connection between you and bodily pain is only mental. When you are asleep and unconscious of the body, you feel no pain. Likewise, when a doctor or a dentist gives you an anesthetic and performs surgery on your body, you don't feel any pain. The mind has been disconnected from the sensation. On the other hand, by strongly picturing in your mind the suffering of another person, you can experience his pain in yourself. The best anesthesia against pain is your mental power. If your mind refuses to accept it, pain will be greatly lessened. I have seen, at times when this body got hurt and felt severe pain, that if I put my mind at the Christ Kuta center, that is, if I identify myself more with God and less with the body, there is no pain at all. So when pain comes, concentrate at the Christ center. Be mentally apart from pain. Develop more strength of mind. Be tough within. When you are feeling pain, inwardly say to yourself, "It doesn't hurt me." When a hurt comes, recognize it as something to be cared for, but don't suffer over it. The more you concentrate on the power of the mind, the more your body consciousness drops away. And the more you love the body and are overly solicitous of it, the more limited the redeeming power of the mind will be. You heighten suffering by imagination. Worrying or feeling sorry for yourself won't ease your pain, but rather increase it. For instance, someone wrongs you, you dwell on it, and your friends talk about it and sympathize with you. The more you think of it, the more you magnify the hurt and your suffering. When someone wrongs you, it is far better to love him spiritually, give him your blessing, and forget it. God is conscious of our suffering. Certainly, he feels our aches and pains. Didn't Jesus say that not one sparrow falls without the feeling and knowledge of God? When the sparrow is being killed by the hawk, the Lord knows the little bird's sensations. He also knows your pain. Do you think it makes him happy to see you suffering? No. He is affected when you are in trouble, so he is not as happy as you think. When God dwells in his absolute state beyond all creation, he knows he is the happiest being there is. But as soon as he feels the desires and sorrows and troubles of his children, he is not so happy. You can sympathize with somebody else's sufferings without actually feeling the same sensation. But if you become completely identified with that person, you will feel his pain as your own. The idea is, God knows what is going on in his creation, but still he is free from the delusion of identification with it. So even though God feels your suffering and mentally suffers for you, his suffering isn't the same as your delusion, because he is not identified with this universe of dualities in the same way you are. He wants you to become like him. That is, you should live in this body, but not be affected by it. Then you will see that you are free from karma. It is not God alone who is free. You as the soul, made in his image, are potentially free also. Be like God, who is carrying on all the work of creation without being identified with its delusive nature. In sleep you are free from karma. How to know that state of non-identification with your troubles? I will tell you. Even if there is a serious problem you can't solve, or your body is in trouble, when you are asleep, you are free within, free from karma. Do you see? Even by just closing your eyes and shutting out the sight of the world and your body, it is possible to separate yourself to some degree from identification with the body. You begin to understand that you are consciousness, you are thought. Thought cannot be invaded by the sensations of the body unless you permit it. Close your eyes and you can feel this truth within. Try it out. It will work. When with closed eyes you remain fortified within yourself and do not allow your mind to be excited by the sensations of the body, you become free from karma. Isn't that a marvelous thought? See the compassion of God, that for 8 hours every night while you sleep, you experience no pain, no suffering, no knowledge that you have no money in the bank, no difficulties at all. In this way, he shows you that when you free your mind, you are free from karma. Many drink or take drugs to forget their troubles, but that is not the way. Liquor and dope only add to your troubles. So when you have a problem, one way to help yourself is to sleep it off. Death is a reward. Sleep is pleasant because you forget the worries of the day. So also, the deeper sleep of death is very pleasant. when it comes. But don't wish for death in order to fly away from your hard lessons in this school of life. That would be wrong. Whatever your tests in this life, you must pass them bravely. When you conquer here, death comes as a reward. It is the end of suffering. When someone is in great agony, people think, how dreadful, and if he dies, they feel very sorry that he had to go. His friends and loved ones collect about him and lament, oh, how sad. But they have the wrong idea. Death has rewarded him with freedom from all suffering. He is much better off than they are. He no longer has to endure pain and discomfort. He is happy. He is free. So when your time comes and you are told you are going to die, smile and reply, is that all? Fine. I will be free from all travails and responsibilities. I once wrote about a vision I had of a dying youth in which God showed me the right attitude toward death. The youth was lying in bed and was told by his doctors that he had just 1 day to live. He replied, 1 day to reach my beloved. When death shall open the gates of immortality, and I shall be free from the prison bars of pain. Don't cry for me, ye who are left on this desolate shore, still to mourn and deplore. It is I who pity you. There is no reason to dread death. Pain is what we are afraid of. The pain of death itself is very little. But why didn't the Lord give us the power to change our old, worn-out body as we change our old clothes? Wouldn't you like to come out with a young body when this one grows old or weak, without having to die and be born again? This is what some yogis do. Once in India, a very old yogi came to the cremation grounds. Upon a funeral pyre was a young man's body, ready to be cremated. The old man cried out, "Stop, I need that body." And even as he said it, the young man's form, enlivened by the spirit of the yogi, jumped up from the pyre and the saint's old body fell dead. Wearing his new physical habitat, the yogi ran off and soon disappeared in the crowd. The astonished mourners cremated his old body. On a little island in the Bay of Bengal, there lived a saint. One day his devotees found him sitting on a pile of wood. He spoke wonderful truths to them. After he had finished his discourse, they asked, "Why are you sitting on the wood?" "To save you the trouble of cremating this body," he answered. "I have stayed here long enough and have decided to give up this body now." As he took a match and lit the pyre, he remarked, "Lest you think I am burning alive, please come and see for yourselves that this body is dead." And he consciously left his body. The devotees rushed forward and found that his form was indeed lifeless. Lahiri Mahasaya left his body in a similar manner. Announcing to a group of devotees assembled around him that he was going, he lifted up his eyes and was gone. The saints say this is how you must treat the body, as a temporary residence. Don't be attached to it or bound by it. Realize the infinite power of the light, the immortal consciousness of the soul, which is behind this corpse of sensation. How glorious is life after death. No more will you have to lug about this old baggage of bones with all its troubles. You will be free in the astral heaven, unhindered by physical limitations. The astral world is not off somewhere in the clouds. It is another dimension of infinite beauty and variety hiding just behind the grossness of this physical universe. On the inner side of my consciousness, I am in that astral world all the time, so I know. In comparison, this earth is a bedlam. In the astral world, you can order things according to your wish. In your astral car, you can travel any distance instantly. If you desire flowers, they are there immediately, just by willing them. And when you no longer want them, remove the thought and they are gone. You do these things subconsciously in dreams. You can do them even on this physical plane, but you have to develop much greater mental power in order to create as God does. In the miracles he performed, Jesus demonstrated he could do it, and he said, "He that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do." So remember, death is nothing to fear. You are in the movie house of God, and when the show is over, don't cry about it. Once I saw a movie in which the hero was killed, and I felt so sad. Then I thought, well, he will come on the screen again in the next showing. I will wait until he comes back to life. Then, before he got killed once more, I left the theater. So it is with souls who die and awaken on the astral plane. They leave the physical movie screen and reappear on the astral movie screen. They never really die. Many devotees who have died I have seen again. This is why I don't sorrow. When you know God, He shows you everything, and you will no longer miss anyone. Sometimes the astral form of a person will be sitting right by your side. You won't see him because you can't see an astral being with the two physical eyes, but I can see him. You need the X-ray vision of the third eye, the spiritual eye, to see souls in their astral forms. You have to develop that spiritual eye. You are living here on earth in a dream. This is the Lord's world. Only when you become one with Him will it be yours. Be like the maidservant living in the home of her employer, looking after the children. She is thinking, "This is my home, this is my family," but inwardly she knows it is not so, because her real family is in another town. You have duties to fulfill in this world, but it is not your permanent home. When you die, you won't even be an American or an Indian or an Englishman anymore. Live with the consciousness, "Lord, this is your world. I am not attached to it, and I am not willing to be attached to this body or my other incarnations. I want first to know you, and why I am sent here, and I want to be free from karma now. Being made in thine image, I am not affected by this world or by this body. I will perform my duties without being identified with them, even as thou art not identified with thy cosmic work. I am free." Destroy bad karma with right action. Don't allow yourself to think you are forever bound by karma. Deny it. Whether your karma is good or bad, don't accept any karmic limitation. You have to have good karma to destroy bad karma. Then rise above them both. Give your karma to God. He will help you if you ask Him to. It isn't that we should seek special privileges, but if we have faith in God, all things are possible. It is His grace that counts, and that grace comes when we do our part to behave like children of God. Whenever you see you are not able to control your pains and troubles, keep trying. If you don't try, you will never get anywhere. Never yield to pain and trouble. Every time something gets you down, get up again and say, "I am all right now." The minute you admit you can't do it, it is over. You have given the verdict that you are bound by karma. You are the judge. It doesn't matter what your troubles are. If you say, "I am all right," you can overcome. But if you say, "I can't do it," you remain jailed behind the prison bars of your karma. If you recognize a mistake and resolutely determine not to make it again, then even if you fall, that fall will be very much less than if you had never tried. You will see in time that you are a master of yourself and free from karma, even as God is. Why be forced to change by repeated deaths and rebirths? Why not change now? Why not give up moods when you know they are wrong? Why not rid yourself of anger? When you get mad, it is because somebody has put salt on your wounded ego. You will be a much better and happier person if you remain calm. Let others slap you or hate you, but never show anger in return. You will see then that nobody can touch you inwardly. Whenever anyone points out your mistakes, quietly correct yourself. That's the way to self-mastery. That is how my guru Sri Yukteswar was, like a little child. Hate no one. Have no likes or dislikes. Have no attachments. A child plays with a toy, but if he breaks it, he soon forgets it. If you have a possessive love for anything, you will suffer. The impulses of evil come not only through your own inclinations, but are sometimes tests of God. Pray to Him, "Lord, I know what virtue is, but I don't seem to practice it. I know what vice is, but I can't stay away from it. O Creator of all my senses, do Thou guide me. Thou hast created both good and evil, and yet Thou art free. I am made in Thine image. I am surrounded by good and evil, but being Thy child, I am free." The justice of God is that He has given us the sword of reason, which we can use to free ourselves from this world of delusion. But you have to apply that God-given power of discrimination to choose right action in preference to wrong action, and to be mentally above your troubles. Let nobody tell you your suffering or problems are your karma. You have no karma. Shankaracharya said, "I am one with spirit, I am He." If you realize this truth, you are a god. But if you keep mentally affirming, "I am a god," and in the background of your mind you are thinking, "But it seems I am a mortal being," you are a mortal being. If you know you are a god, you are free. The Guru's help. The Guru will help you. God talks to you and guides you through a Guru, one who loves God day and night. His one duty is to plant love for God in your consciousness. He seeks nothing from you but your own spiritual effort. Whether you curse Him or whether you praise Him, He he is not affected by it. But if you tune in with him, he will be able to help you remove the veil of ignorance from your consciousness. When you follow the Guru's advice, you will see you are free. Even when Master Swami Sri Yukteswar told me something that I felt certain could not be so, right away it came to pass. Many times he warned others of the consequences of their intended actions. Those who didn't listen found their lives shattered by disappointments. A true guru warns you only to help you avoid the pitfalls along your path. Some lesser teachers fly off the handle when their disciples are not obedient. But Master would only say, "Don't you think this is right?" I repeat a thing twice. Master used to say it only once, and those who didn't take the advice would find out that they should have. 3 ways to rise above karma. If you want to rise above karma, try to realize these 3 truths. When the mind is strong and the heart is pure, you are free. It is the mind that connects you with pain in the body. When you think pure thoughts and are mentally strong, you cannot suffer the painful effects of evil karma. This is something very cheerful I have found. In subconscious sleep, you are free. When you are in ecstasy, identified with God, you have no karma. This is why the saints say, pray unceasingly. When you continuously pray and meditate, you go into the land of superconsciousness, where no troubles can reach you. You can be free from karma right now by these methods. Whenever karmic troubles plague you, go to sleep. Or think pure thoughts and make the mind like steel, saying to yourself, I am above it all. Or best of all, in deep meditation, go into the divine state of superconsciousness. The bliss of that consciousness is the natural state of your soul, but you have forgotten your real nature by being so long identified with the body. That untroubled, blissful state of the soul has to be reacquired. Ordinarily, you are free from consciousness of the body only 8 hours of the day. During the other 16, you make yourself miserable through your bondage to body consciousness. By keeping your mind happy and by not dwelling on your troubles, you will suffer much less. But if you can remain in ecstasy, you will see you are free from karma all the 24 hours of each day. Kriya Yoga sunders the prison bars of karma. So dear ones, get away from this world. Not by flying away to a cave in the Himalayas, but to the cave of your mind, where you are free of the body and of the world. Practice Kriya Yoga, and you will surely succeed on the spiritual path. That is my own experience. The liberating power of Kriya Yoga sunders the prison bars of karma. I have never found in East or West such a great technique as this. Everyone who is a follower of Kriya and of this path of self-realization fellowship, Yogoda Satsanga Society of India, will go far ahead. Meditate and see the results in yourself after a few years. Give yourself a little time. Don't expect results in a minute. You can't make health or money overnight. You must give time. It requires 8 years to form a habit. If you meditate and practice Kriya deeply for 8 years, you will see you are on the way to self-mastery. As a part of your meditation each night, make this affirmation. Repeat it over and over again to yourself. Father, thou art free from karma. I am thy child. I am free from karma, now and forever. That is what I want you to feel. What has been said today is one of the greatest messages I have given to you for the overcoming of all misery. I don't want you ever to forget it. Material remedies, medicines, physical comforts, human consolation have their place in helping to remove pain, but the greatest remedy is the practice of Kriya Yoga and the affirmation that you are one with God. This is the cure-all for every trouble, pain, and bereavement, the way to freedom from all individual and mass karma. This world is not our home. Our home is on the other side, in the cosmic consciousness of God. There, behind the atoms, we are safe and sound in the kingdom of our Father. I pray for you all. Lord, it is thy light I behold. I deeply pray for all souls on this path of self-realization that soon you release them from the terrible delusion of their karma and mass karma. For all the errors of our conduct, for all our omissions and ignorance, still we are thy children. Remind us of this evermore, that even behind the prison bars of karma, we are one with thee. As soon as we close our eyes, as soon as we are in ecstasy, we know we are made in thine image. We are free, O Lord,